Look up the difference between rich and wealthy. One quick way to get wealthy. I did a whole bunch of reckless shit, but god damn, it was fun. Look up the difference between rich and wealthy. So I'm gonna do two definitions from Millennial Money Women because it was top of the Google search chart. So shout out to y'all. This is written by Fiona Smith. Her definition is the difference between being rich versus wealthy is two completely different concepts. Although being rich and being wealthy may be considered similar, they are two different, and two very opposite things. And trust me, you'll want to be known being wealthy over being rich. Keep reading. What does it mean to be rich? If you want to know what being rich means, then you want to think of some popular rappers, football players, and Hollywood stars. Sometimes it seems like they are screaming the word, I'm rich. That's because rich is about having a lot of income, spending a lot of money, showing off how much money you have. Yes, being rich means you have a lot of money, but being rich doesn't necessarily mean that you have a high net worth or that you will always be quote unquote rich. In fact, being rich could mean that you are in debt. Why? Most people who are rich spend more than they earn. If you read any of my budgeting articles, then you know that becoming rich, you need to spend less than you earn. To become rich, you need to spend less than you earn. I'll never forget this story. I was a teenager and met one of my parents' friends. He was a former American baseball player. When he was playing baseball, he was 30 years old, earning $4 million a year, considered the next superstar. Then an ankle injury put him out of the game and he was forced to retire at 34. That was 6 years ago. Now he's 40. Him and his wife are driving $200,000 Ferraris, living in a $3 million mansion, earning $30K a year from a lawnmower business, buying their 16-year-old daughter a $60,000 car, which she crashed in week one. And you know what? They are broke massively, and they will have to file for bankruptcy. You cannot build wealth if you spend more than you earn. If you don't believe my personal story, check out the many other celebrities that have rich lifestyles but ended up worse off than before they entered starlight. Michael Jackson, the whopping cost of $10 million a year to operate Michael's Neverland Ranch. He was at least $400 million in debt. Good Lord. Lindsay Lohan, partying, addiction, etc., causing Lindsay to file for bankruptcy in 2012. Mike Tyson, divorce, excessive spending, was $23 million in debt. 50 Cent. Excessive spending was $32.5 million in debt. The bottom line, you can be rich and you can be on the verge of bankruptcy. Being rich is more about showing off your money than using your money as a tool to build long-term growth. If you're rich, you're also likely to go broke. What does it mean to be wealthy? If you want to achieve financial freedom, then chances are you'll want to become wealthy. Wealth has everything to do with your most precious asset, time. Becoming wealthy means time to do the things you want to do, time to spend with the people you love, time to learn about the things you want to learn. When you're wealthy, you're not living the paycheck to paycheck. And so it seems like my definition was a little more close to it because my definition of wealthy, even generational wealth, right, is the ability to have a financial vehicle that allows you to do all these things, spend time, money, without having to think about it. Right. Like my son don't got to be the next basketball player. It's like, bruh.
Right. I've taken care of it.
Right, you got 15 G's. Even if you blow that, every month you get 15 G's and you can't touch the principal. Right. To me, that's how you keep, that's like wealth. Right. The minute you and I are earning $20,000 a month and our expenses are 10, and that's coming from an asset that we don't have to continue to build. Right.
Your wealth is still building, and your spending is not. You're not outspending your earnings. So, this is a more official definition. It'll be a lot shorter. This is Bankrate or Bankrate.com. Wealth refers to around income-generating assets rather than the money itself. A Charles Schwab survey found that Americans need to accumulate $2.4 million to identify themselves as wealthy. But wealth, like rich, is relative. You need more of it to live in New York City than in the Great Plains. So passive income and investments, wealth typically comes from passive income and investments. The IRS defines passive income as earnings you generate from real estate or earn without active participation. Real estate, rental income, stock dividends, and royalties are all examples of passive income. Financial freedom. Passive income streams perpetuate financial freedom, which allows you to live your desired lifestyle regardless of whether you work. And I won't keep going, but that's kind of like what we're saying here is when you're at a point where whether you work or not, your money's making you money, and that money doesn't exceed, meaning what you spend doesn't exceed what you earn. You're not worried about where the next check is coming from. You're doing what you want to do. And then more importantly, your wealth is still building while that's happening. Because if your passive income is $10,000 a month, but your lifestyle is $20,000 a month, you're running 10 in a negative and your wealth is decreasing. But to use those same numbers, if your passive is 10,000, but your lifestyle is 5,000, that's still 5 going back into whatever that continues to grow. So wealth to me is when you're on the other side of that paradigm, and then things continue to progress. Now, obviously, the bigger the gaps, the more wealthy, right? Because if you're earning 2 million passively, but you're living off 100,000, that's 1.9 every single month. That's going back into whatever that continues to build. So that's where I think the Walton family and the Rothschilds and the people whose money is just going to continue to
money.
Do what they're going to do. So so what we're trying to, I guess, advocate for in the Black community and people who are listening to this podcast is like, figure out your version of that, get to a point where you're building something to a point where you have enough passive income coming in that'll maintain the lifestyle you want, but your wealth can continue to be passed on to your family.
Yeah, and then what I would add for that is everybody needs to do the homework for themselves.
Right.
Meaning that, so now that so we'll just use Bankrate for now, even though, I'm very opposed to listening to listen to one source.
Right.
But we'll use them just because that's the information that's in front of us and that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So now that we know that $2.4 million is considered wealthy, right? Just like in general, obviously there's a whole bunch of nuances with that. That's not my number. My number is 3 mil. And 3 million to me means 3 million in assets outside of my house.
It can't include your house?
I don't want it to. So it'd be 3 point whatever my house is worth, 3.8 then, right? Because the whole principle is $3 million in assets earning revenue.
Okay.
Right?
And your house isn't really earning you unless you own a home outright and receive rental income from it. That's
right, but that's like rental stuff. Yeah, so like everything that's an asset is not my home. So not my main home because that's not an income generating thing outside of the market going up and down. So then the reason why.
So let's just throw rental in as a caveat for that example. But
no, that's cool. Now we could throw rental in there. And the reason why is at that number, even a low percentage of all my returns, like in bad years, still covers like my lifestyle. So you put that 3 aside and you don't touch that, and that's when I can start getting ignorant.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
3 mil.
Like after 3 mil, like once you see me with like a Ferrari and all that stuff, know that my net worth is, and don't try to come for me or rob me. I can shoot. I'm gonna just put that out there right now. With that said, we still from the
hood. Maryland, baby.
we still from the hood. But after that, then I would feel psychologically comfortable with like burning money. I mean, yeah, and we wear drip and travel and all that stuff. But you see some of these.
It's calculated.
Yeah, so it's calculated and it's thought through. And the most important thing about it is that it's peace of mind.
Right.
Like when I'm out burning, 20, 30 G's, I'm not thinking about like, am I going broke in the club with some of these young kids. First contract, got the whole entourage. Like Vince Young opened up a whole bunch of restaurants, all this stuff. It's like your burn rate. It's like, like you earn X amount of dollars, but your burn rate, like to me, like that's burn rate.
Right.
It's like, you can earn $5 million, but if you got 4 houses, 3 baby mamas, and a whole bunch of businesses that aren't doing well, your money, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have enough money, so now you start acquiring debt.
Right.
So and especially if you're still high income earning, then you're f***ed at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's why most athletes, celebrities, and people who are making this money for the first time go broke in the first 3 to 5 years. You've seen 30 for 30. There's whole specials on this stuff. And now I think it's getting better because they're implementing financial literacy as a mandate for people who first get here. But I mean, most of these guys are 19, 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the judgment doesn't come off strong for me, because like I know you just mentioned like, now we're at an age where if we burning thousands in the club or on vacation or doing what we do, we're fully cognizant of what we're doing. We've already assessed why this can make sense for us to do. We know that we're still gonna have a place to go home to, and we still got our careers and money in order. Is it the smartest decision all the time? No, but at least it's calculated. But let's be real.
Yeah.
When we first started making, I'll just say a grown salary, when we graduated school and got that first job, and let alone, when we first started touching 6 figures, we did some pretty irresponsible shit.
But I enjoyed it so much, man. Like,
I told you, regrets, but like now,
I'm gonna be honest on this podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
my net worth could probably be another $500,000 to $600,000.
Straight up.
Without the lifestyle that's I mean, I bought a 7 Series cash.
Straight up.
I did a whole bunch of reckless shit, but god damn, it was fun.
Man, I'm over $200,000 in on metal because I thought about all the cars that I bought: 2 BMWs, a Range Rover, Audi. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff that we've acquired over time. Especially between my wife and I just be thinking like, yes, it was nice to have these things and I enjoyed them, but when you really look at it, sometimes you're like, man, that same $200,000 in the market over the past 12 years could have been well worth 7 figures right now.